Like a real-life Pirates of the Caribbean, many of these ships are sailing the seven seas. Who is sailing them though, is the issue. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Number 10. Mary Celeste. Mary Celeste is perhaps one of the most well-known ghost ships in the world. The American ship was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean on December 5th, 1872. The last entry in the captain's log was written 10 days before this. There were no crew on board. Mary Celeste was in seaworthy condition, but one of the lifeboats was missing. To this day, none of the crew has been found. However, many theories about the cause of the ship's abandonment have been considered to include mutiny, piracy, insurance fraud, earthquakes, an attack from a giant squid, and of course, aliens. Number 9. Carroll A Deering. In 1921, off the coast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, the commercial schooner Carroll A Deering was discovered run aground with its crew nowhere to be found. Her logs, navigational equipment, and lifeboats were also missing. The ship was originally captained by World War II hero William H. Merritt and held 11 other members of crew, including his son, the first mate. But Merritt became sick and the Deering was forced to make port so that the captain could receive medical attention. Merritt was replaced by Willis B. Wormel, and this is where the problems began. The Deering left Rio on December 2nd, 1920. It had been noted that there were significant interpersonal issues between the new captain and the crew. The ship was spotted by a lightship. The lightship reported a tall ginger man who spoke with a foreign accent and was shouting through a megaphone, telling them that the Deering had lost its anchor in a storm. He also noted that the crew seemed to be acting strangely. The Deering was spotted the next day heading towards the Diamond Shoals of Cape Hatteras. Although an official explanation has not been proposed, the evidence could suggest mutiny. However, many have theorised that the schooner may have been abandoned due to hurricanes, Russian piracy, or attacks from rum runners. Number 8. A Mesa. A Mesa was a ghost ship that was discovered off the coast of the Mediterranean island of Sardinia on August 24, 2006. Aboard the boat lay Egyptian food, French maps, clothes, and a flag of Luxembourg. The crew was seemingly missing. A ship of this type had never been seen in Italy before, and it had not been registered in Italy or in fact any other country. The ship could only be identified by a sign which read A Mesa, which was assumed to be a misspelling of the Italian phrase A Mesa, meaning beautiful friend. It was later discovered that the boat belonged to Frank Royeroux and was, in fact, a yacht. It was suggested that the circumstances to which the A Mesa was found were because Royeroux wanted to avoid paying tax on the boat. Number 7. High Aim 6. High Aim 6 was a Taiwanese ghost ship found drifting in Australian waters on January 8, 2003. The crew was missing. No signs of a struggle were found. The crew's belongings were still on the boat, and it still had more than enough fuel. The police thought that mutiny was the most likely explanation for the abandonment of the ship. This theory was further evidenced by the discovery of a survivor on land. He revealed that the crew murdered the captain Chen Tai Cheng and the engineer Lin Chung Li before they returned to shore. Their reason for killing the captain and engineer were never explained. Number 6. Wan Seng. The Wan Seng was a large tanker ship that was found drifting in Australian waters in 2006. On boarding, the Coast Guard found that the Wan Seng was inoperable and had no crew left on board. There were no signs of violence or criminal activity either. In fact, the only thing found on the tanker were large quantities of rice, leading the investigators to believe that it was a restocking ship for other boats. All the identifying marks had been removed from the tanker, so the Coast Guard was never able to determine where the ship came from or who it belonged to. Most of the tanker had been stripped and none of the engines worked. It was concluded that the Wan Seng was likely being towed to a scrapyard when its tow line broke, leaving it to drift. Number 5. MV Joyita. The MV Joyita disappeared whilst travelling through the South Pacific with its 25 passengers and crew in 1955. Like all the other ghost ships, it was found adrift with no one on board. The ship had previously been acquired by the US Navy during World War II, but she ran aground in 1943. Needing as many ships as possible, the vessel was soon repaired, but was left with iron piping and faulty electrics. The ship had later been fitted with a layer of cork, making it virtually unsinkable. This puzzled the investigators, as why would the crew abandon the ship and not wait for help? All of the lifeboats were missing, as well as the life jackets, and the radio had been set to the International Distress Channel. Investigators also found blood-stained bandages on board. There were many theories about the MV Joyita. Some thought that the captain had been injured and the panicked crew attempted to escape using the lifeboats. Others believed that the ship was taken over by the Japanese or by pirates. This is possible since the 4 tons of cargo aboard the ship were also missing. And of course, the age-old theories of fraud or mutiny. There are still no conclusive answers, but the Joyita was towed to shore and sold. After setting sail again, it quickly earned the name the Mary Celeste of the South Pacific, as it ran aground again. Number 4. Kaz 2. The Kaz 2 was a ghost yacht found drifting in Australian waters on April 20th, 2007, without its 3-man crew. The ship was owned by Derek Batten. His neighbours Peter Tunstead and James Tunstead helped crew the vessel. Everything on the boat was normal. Engine running, plates and food on the table. However, no life raft found on board. The fate of its 3-man crew remains unknown, but investigators believe that one or all of the men fell off the boat and were unable to get back aboard. Number 3. Sabrina. The Sabrina was a sailing barge that was found run aground on the coast of France in 1917. The crew was missing, yet the ship itself was undamaged. There was speculation that the Sabrina had been intercepted by a German ship whilst on its journey from England to France. This theory was never proven, and no traces of the crew have ever been found. Number 2. Shuna Jenny. In 1823, an English schooner, Jenny, is said to have become frozen in an ice barrier of the Drake Passage. Jenny was supposedly rediscovered in 1840 by a whaling ship. The crew of the whaling ship were shocked to discover that the Jenny's crew was not working on the deck, but remarkably they were frozen, solid, preserved in the ice. The last entry found in the captain's logbook read, "No food for 71 days. I am the only one left alive." It is unknown how the ship ended up at Drake's Passage. Either way, the Jenny eventually became dislodged and still sails the Antarctic seas. So before we get to our number 1 spot, are there any ghost ships that we've missed out? Why don't you let us know in the comments down below. Number 1. Baychimo. On October 1st, 1931, the SS Baychimo was abandoned along the Alaskan coast after becoming trapped in ice. The crew briefly left the ship to take shelter, but during this time, the SS Baychimo broke out of the ice. However, after strong snowstorms, the captain decided that the ship would probably not survive and removed the cargo. But the Baychimo did survive the snowstorm and subsequently disappeared. The ghost ship was sighted numerous times, but no one was equipped to salvage it. The last recorded sighting of Baychimo was in 1969, 38 years after it was abandoned. Her fate since then is unknown.